welcome to the BS and Beer Show, where BS stands for Building Science. BS and Beer is an independent grassroots movement to share building science knowledge through our local meetup groups and this, our Zoom show. The Brew Crew and our guests volunteer our time each month to bring this to you, and we hope it's fun and informative discussion. Before we dive into tonight's building science banter, we want to let you know that BS and Beer now has some pretty cool sponsors. Our hosts and guests still do this because we love it. We believe in building science and we believe in this community. So to help keep the lights on and keep spreading the good word, we now have a few carefully selected sponsors. At the start of each show, we'll give you a brief reel from our sponsors who, lucky you, are often present in the chat. So hopefully someone is here from our sponsor tonight if you have specific questions. In the meantime, go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're joining from, and of course, what your beverage of choice is. Tonight, I am drinking a headless pumpkin cider, so in honor of Halloween. And while all of your friends know that you are tuning in, they won't be able to tell unless you introduce yourself in the chat. So don't forget to say hello. And don't forget to find your local BS and Beer discussion group or start your own if there isn't one in your area. Visit our new website, thebsandbeershow.com, for more information on local groups, links to our past shows on YouTube, or join our mailing list. And as they've already done, big thank you to IMW Group and Motif for helping us with all of our media communication. So without further ado, I'm going to figure out how to share this video. So stay tuned.
Hi, BS and Beer friends, family. I'm Ben Bogey here, and I'm with TJ from Huber.
How's it going? TJ here. We're on the brand team with the Zip System Building Enclosures.
So as many of you all know, we've decided to start taking sponsorships for BS and Beer to help us get this grassroots movement out to everybody. And we've decided to be selective about who we partner with. We want to partner with brands that we actually believe in, that help us do better work across the industry. And a natural fit for that was Huber.
Yeah, I mean, at Huber, we're always trying to push the boundaries with the building enclosure, whether it be through durability, energy efficiency, or just staying ahead of the codes in general. So we do that by listening to builders like yourself and taking feedback from all the builders out there.
So I've been working with Huber for a number of years now, and one of the things that I think is important to know about them that they don't trumpet is that they are a triple bottom lines company. So Huber, the parent organization, is people, planet, and profit, right? And so they're not just driving for shareholder value here, they're driving for better community, better employee relationships, better products, helping us all do better with the work that we do on a daily basis. And that's something I've really grown to appreciate from you guys.
Well, we appreciate it, man. You're the reason why we're continuing to push the boundaries of the building enclosure entire system, and we're going to look to continue to keep doing that. And if you have any influential feedback that you'd like to support us with, feel free to join our Insights Council.
With that, I want to say thank you to Huber for sponsoring. It's really helps us to get this information out and to know that we have brand partners that support education and support just pushing the industry forward to help make better choices is really a great thing to have.
All right. Thank you for continuing to build better. See ya.
All right, awesome. Short, sweet, Mike, announcements.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily. Tonight, I'm Mike Baines. Tonight I'm drinking a Fiddlehead IPA from Vermont. One of my favorites. I don't really have any non-favorites. Tonight's topic is a chat with the Green Police, or formerly known as the Green Police, now just Michael and Carl, maybe, I don't know. They are our annual October guests. I don't know if we've missed any Octobers with them. No specific topic tonight, but they both have broad and deep industry knowledge and non-industry knowledge, and are generally pretty smart guys. So go ahead and queue up any questions or topic you'd like to hear them pontificate on. This is just kind of an open conversation unless one of them surprises us with the topic. And for announcements, the last Building Science Symposium of the year is coming up, guests, illustrious guests include Joe Stiebrick, Steve Bazek, Jake Bruton, Ross Trathui, and the lazy Ben Bogey. I'm sorry, not lazy, the tired Ben Bogey. He is anything but lazy, but he is tired tonight, so he is not with us. The last symposium is in Cincinnati, Ohio, November 5th and 6th, and we will post a link to that in the chat. Then also coming up in November 18th and 19th is the U.S. Heat Pump Summit. They've been supporters of BS and Beer, and it just sounds like a cool event in Worcester, Mass. Worcester, if you're not from New England. The U.S. Heat Pump Summit is a meeting hub for business owners and field staff and high-performance HVAC and plumbing. Join your community in Worcester, Mass. as 40-plus industry-leading trainers and contractors share behind-the-scenes business practices, proven technical design, and install methods, and hear from startup companies that are innovating new heat pump technologies. Sounds like a good time, and we'll post a link to that. If anybody else has announcements on screen or in the audience, feel free to post those. Last but not least, our next show will be November 6th with our friends Josh Salinger and Rachel White on the topic of renovation, different coasts, different performance goals. Josh is in Oregon, Rachel's in Massachusetts. They both do just amazing work, and we're looking forward to talking with them. And for introductions, I will turn things over to Travis.
I appreciate that, Mike. I am Travis Brungard. I'm in Kansas City, as you can tell from my star of the show here. I'm drinking an Odell Sippin' Pretty because I'm a pinkies up kind of drinker, and I like things that are pink, and if they got flowers, I like them even better. And before I introduce our illustrious guests, I want to give them each a bunch of credit, because before we started the show, when we were talking about announcements, I spoke directly with Carl and Michael offline to confirm that if we can sell another 20 spots and sell out the remainder of the tickets in Cincinnati, the three of us will do the show with our shirts off. And I appreciate that commitment from Carl and Michael. That's why we're boys. Anyway, Carl Seville has had over 40 years of experience in renovation and home construction. He owned and operated Sawhorse Incorporated, which was one of the largest design build renovation firms in Atlanta, for over 25 years. Carl's a building enclosure commissioning provider, a Green Globes professional, a HERS rater, an NGBS master verifier, a lead green rater, an Earthcraft and Enterprise Green Communities technical advisor, and he holds the lead AP Homes designation. He's served on the boards of directors of many industry and local organizations. Among other writings, Carl is the co-author of Green Building, Principles and Practices in Residential Construction, the first college textbook on residential green building. He's a graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design, RISD, where he studied architecture, fine arts, and design. And most importantly, Carl's house appears in the Pretty Good House book as a case study. So, Carl, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking Kroger Lemon Lime Seltzer.
The good stuff. Way to celebrate big.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, let me go on
down.
Kroger's, man. Aldi must have been out. Michael Anschel is a native and lifelong fan of Minneapolis. He's been involved in the arts from a young age and deferred college to visit the Far East. He lived in China and Japan in the 90s, and in China, in addition to learning Mandarin, he held a number of positions, including TV show host, foreign language editor for the Beijing Review, university and preschool teacher, and he served as the head of the English department for the Japanese Embassy School in Beijing. I thought it was the other way around, but I guess this does make sense too. He returned to the U.S. to finish his degree in art with Chinese minor at the University of Minnesota. Now, the opportunity to apply his hands-on experience and materials knowledge from his work in ceramic and metal sculpture and his background in art history and architecture presented itself, it did not prevent itself, but presented itself in remodeling and renovation. And after a few years of renovation work, he was asked to design and build his first home addition. This particular challenge to blend the traditional style of the home's exterior with the homeowner's contemporary vision for the interior proved inspirational. The company refocused their direction to remodeling and has never looked back. When not at work, Michael spends his free time climbing rocks and mountains, skiing, biking, and traveling to new places. Michael is a cellist of 45 years, and he enjoys experimenting with new sounds and instruments with his international friends. If you can catch him, get that theremin solo. What are you drinking tonight, Michael?
I am drinking Portuguese red.
The national red of Portugal? Impressive.
No, it's I grabbed a bottle off the shelf and I didn't look at the label, but it's red and it's from Portugal.
Very non-specific. Thank you. Well, this evening's topic is design first, materials second. We're getting back to basics. And I'm thinking that's actually not our title. That's
we don't have
that's
a topic.
carryover.
I apologize. I was finishing this thing like as we were starting, and believe it or not, I edited their bios down, but I kind of ran out of time on Michael's.
The
love
subject
the-
tonight is Carl and Michael get to rant about shit.
Yeah,
Yes,
no.
That's a better one. We have a list. I mean, we brought a list of grievances, rants. I mean,
I just love that Mike Main's made me that idiot
Yeah,
who
the
just
list.
reads whatever's on the cue card. Like
I think you should have just rolled with it, Travis, and it should have been the flip instead. Their shenanigans in other years. It's like, oh yeah, we picked a topic for you. Go.
let's see how this works out.
Well, on that note, we do have an audience question from audience regular Kurt Mueller. Any updates on low GWP concrete now available in foundation materials or designs that have a reduced GWP?
I know nothing about that subject. Sorry.
that's
Great
not
start.
true. You know plenty about GWP, Carl.
Not concrete, not low GWP concrete. That's a new one on me.
All right.
I know what
I've
he
been
did.
reading this. There's been some articles I've seen published recently on new technology and lowering the GWP or the carbon footprint of concrete, and people are always, trying to do different things with it. I haven't seen anything in the marketplace.
There is one product out there. I've heard about it. I think it reduces the carbon slightly. I mean, it's not, you can't remove it completely. I mean, you're still roasting lime at 1 billion degrees, so it's like you can only do so much.
The global warming potential of fly ash is still what? Like, isn't that what we're doing is replacing things where we can or adding what was it, the
Trying to
carbon
reduce-
cure folks?
Reducing Portland, reducing quarrying, synthetics, strengthening it, aerating it.
I thought we were carbonating it. I thought we were adding the same fizzy stuff.
I think none of us know what we're talking about.
Confirmed.
What was the when they did the Minneapolis bridge rebuild after it fell down? They put these big white concrete pillars at either end that are supposed to absorb carbon. Like that's something that we were very, very excited about. Looks like Kurt knows the answer to his own question.
Yeah, really. He was just
So I mean, I feel like, come on, man.
It was a setup, a plant.
Carbon cure is, it says 15% reduction in GWP with a liquid CO2.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
And I question the stat a little bit because this is a subject I know a little bit about, and what I recall hearing is that it reduces the carbon of the concrete very slightly, but I think I read it was more like 1.5%. I can't confirm that.
It's just a decimal place. It's like,
Yeah, I do know that from a chemistry point of view, basically what we do to make Portland cement is take limestone, heat it to incredible temperatures until it breaks down into clinker, and then that's the glue that binds everything together. But then that clinker wants to become limestone again, and so in the process of wanting to become limestone again, it does absorb carbon or specifically CO2 because it wants to get back to being limestone, which is CaCO2, calcium carbonate. But it's basically all concrete is carbon storing. It's just, can we make it more carbon storing faster?
Aha. Cool.
Well,
So is it like when you put something in a vacuum and it tries to return to its original state, sort of thing?
Yeah.
Like the more you suck out of it, the more it wants to grab onto some.
Right. I feel like that there's a different analogy right there, but I can't put my finger on it.
well, I want to start with a rant.
Which of the rants, Carl? You sent me a long
I sent
list.
you a list of rants. Yeah. So most of the work I do is in multifamily. That's kind of my market, which is, I realize it's not most of the people who listen to this, but I've been doing a lot of work with Energy Star multifamily lately. We have a lot of projects that are going for that certification for various reasons. And I feel like it's the kind of thing that has been set up to make people hate the government. There's 3 versions, 1.1, 1.2, and soon to be 1.3. There are 5 revisions of each version. And each one has a whole set of documents that are slightly different than the other. You can use version 3 or 4 or 5. Which one you have to use depends on the permit date. And in some cases, you could actually like start a job. If the permit gets delayed, you have to revise all the documents that you put together because you have to move to the next revision. And I did a count. There's things like requirements, like you have to have slab edge insulation in certain climates. But down in footnote 28, there's a way to get around it. So I did a count. There's 4 different checklists. And then if you're doing this ANSI it's ANSI 310 HVAC commission is 3 more checklists. There's a program requirement. There's a slab edge detail document. There's an Excel file, and then it's been a minimum of 48 pages with 208 footnotes, up to 63 pages with 267 footnotes. And there's 5 versions of that. No, there's three versions and 5 revisions of all those documents.
Wow.
And on top of that, we do the energy modeling in Ecotrope, and I did a model the other day for a whole bunch of units, and it said that it passed the UA. However, the reported printout said it doesn't pass the UA. So I'm waiting for an answer to that question so I can tell my clients what the hell to do.
Wow. Is the main purpose of this just to make consultants money because nobody else can figure it out, or is
I don't know. I don't think I can
up?
charge enough money to do this. I mean, it was part of it's tied into the tax credits, which are going away. But I have one project that's going to be done by the time before the tax credit expires, so they're doing that. Also, Enterprise Green Communities requires it. The North Carolina and South Carolina federal low-income housing tax credits require it. It's driving me crazy. It's like I'm ready to retire. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Wow.
How frequently do they update that? Like,
what's that?
On all your revisions and additions, and how frequently do they update it? Because that was one of the things that I felt
at least once a year. So I forgot about it. There's a policy record, which is another couple of hundred pages, which basically is how if somebody asks a question, say, oh yeah, we're going to change that in the next revision. So in addition to the revisions, you can go to the policy record and find out where they've changed something, but it's not on the revision yet. I completely forgot about the policy record. That's another couple of hundred pages.
I always felt that was really frustrating as a HERS rater, and
Yeah.
they were constantly updating the additions. And it wasn't just once a year where you were like, okay, what's the expectation starting this year? It was like, oh, 3 months later, we have a new edition. And there are different things in this new edition. Like, what do you mean?
Every time you open up a file in Ecotrope, you have an error because they added some feature in there that you have to do. Yeah. So
yeah.
And somewhat unrelated is, I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but the Zero Energy Ready Homes program is now the DOE Efficient New Homes program. They just renamed it.
Oh.
Just to make it harder to find things when you
appear to have
search.
changed any of the requirements yet, but it just has a new name. And nobody seems to know what's going on with it.
I feel like this is like what LLMs were really created for, so you could feed all of the programs and all the footnotes into the LLM and then just query it as you go.
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
But
that's my first rant. Go, Michael, you got one?
Well, so actually, what's curious about that, Carl, is I'm listening to, because we listen to books these days, Ezra Klein's Abundance.
Oh yeah, I haven't read it, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah,
and I'm in this section, and he was just talking about in one section where they were, I forget which office it is, but some office that has to review all these applications, and they flagged them for these things, and they built the system. Blah, blah. It took them 10 years to build the proposal documents.
Or what?
To hire a contractor to come in and build the new database and systems to fix what they had. But it took them 10 years.
Who's they?
Whatever, the Department of something.
Okay.
And he noted that everybody was well-intentioned. Everyone was trying to do the very best they could, but there had been so many layers, like you noted. And then, some state would go and pass some other piece of legislation, usually California, that then would force like another layer of review and revision. And it was like, it just became this. They have computers that are running simulation for the old green and black screen thing, because some of the databases that were built on that, but nobody has those monitors anymore. So they're like
Jesus.
running it.
We're talking about MS-DOS? Is that what we're talking about now? What are we
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
but it's like the backlog that continues to build while this goes on. So
Yeah.
it's like the unsolvable thing, right? Instead of just like, yeah, start over.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I understand the basic premise of his book is that liberals have really screwed up a lot of things by requiring all sorts of good things. They've made a mess of it.
That is not yes. Yep. That all of that he points to like what was done in tobacco, like all of that, those tactics now being adopted by the right to use against the left. So that it's like it's a double-edged sword. All that policy, all of the policy that was developed to control things stood in the way of the thing. Like high-speed rail in California really belongs in other places than where they're putting it.
Right.
But because they wanted to look at it using government dollars for clean air, they had to put it in a more polluted area. But then they couldn't get it passed because of all the different areas that they have to go through. And so the net result is worse air pollution overall, and that the rail just isn't getting built, period, when it could have been done if there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost as if policy decisions should be made in the interest of people, regardless of political aspirations.
Yeah.
Carry on.
How are we supposed to make more?
Democracies are challenging, although we may not live in one anymore, so it may be hard to tell.
I might not have to worry about it. Yeah.
Right. That ship may have sailed.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. So what do I have to rant about? What am I upset about today? Apart from the deterioration of our little
Entire
country.
way of life.
Yeah. I mean, 475. I mean,
What's wrong with them?
Are we talking about the product sales group, or are we talking about that metric
I'm gonna
for
rant on them.
BTUs
Yeah.
per person?
Are they one of your sponsors?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. No, I feel like every time there's a bad idea, I can trace it back to 475. Like,
Oh boy.
Them's fighting words.
Well, that's Michael, he likes.
We just talked about a bunch of colossal failures of our government policy and how it's debilitating, and Ezra Klein's book detailing these terrible failures, and you're going to pen all that on 475? I think that's a little hard.
No. That was way too big. We'll bring that back down. Sorry.
Please.
Bad ideas that people want to do to their homes, like, will you, do you know about this product? Or I learned about this thing, or some, natural person who's communing with their home with a Ouija board and is determined that, it's like, where did you find that product? Oh, 475. Who made that statement? Oh, 475. I mean, absolutely bananas. Like, I feel like Five Foil got like a facelift. And now if it's crunchy, I mean, yeah. So the other day there was some naturalist on Instagram who made a video saying basically that you can't trust the R value isn't actually science, and that real science, real science, and they had like a little box with a heat lamp, and they were showing wood fiber Gutex, that's nonsense, against foam, but the levels were different. It wasn't actually scientific. There was no control. There was no standard. And it didn't actually answer the question. It just was like, when you see like right-wingers who are like, are you thinking? Are you thinking? It was like that kind of stuff, but for building science. Like, do your own research. Don't do your own research.
No.
Please.
Let the scientists do
this one. Yeah. No, I mean, I think 475 is a great company. I think they've been really instrumental in introducing high performance techniques and products. I like everybody there. I know the principals a little bit. They're just great people. I don't know how many times now, like I think it's into the dozens, where I get clients or people asking for free consulting, saying like, why can't I do fluffy insulation in a flat unvented roof? 475 says it's okay. And 475 says it's okay if you hit every one of 10 points, which is nearly impossible.
I
So,
have fluffy insulation on my flat vented roof.
vented or unvented?
It's vented, yeah.
Right. So they're saying it's okay in an unvented roof if basically if
Oh.
everything is perfect.
Oh yeah, well that's the building science did all those studies. It works in
Right.
warm
Oh,
climates.
in a couple of climates,
Yeah.
if you have a
You
4-foot
have a-
giant open thing at the very top of
Not
your
4 foot. You have a vapor diffusion vent.
your
Yeah,
vapor diffusion port.
right. Yeah, if it works, I think in climate zones 3 and below is what they're saying.
Yeah. Basically, I think that their problem is assuming that contractors, architects, and homeowners are competent.
Oh yeah, that's a big assumption.
Or provide a complete assembly and reference someone's real data, like reference Oak Ridge or PNNL, like reference or an ANSI testing that is a thing, because you can't just pick and choose and say, well, we're using ASTM XYZ for this, but we developed our own test that shows this. I mean, that's what insulated paint did, and that's what Fifoil did to try to make their product look good. And it's like, but it's, also why? Well, I'm just like, people have a hard enough time doing it with the materials we already have on hand. And now we're like giving people like this even more expensive way to do the same thing with even harder to source materials that are even harder to put together the right way, with even fewer contractors who are even willing to entertain the idea. How is that moving the needle? Like, if the goal is decarbonization of homes and all of that fun stuff, how is any of that helping other than it's helping you to sell a really expensive product? Which, I don't know. That's my rant. Take it or leave it.
The solid rant. It's to be taken well.
My next rant is
Oh.
mechanical designs in multifamily buildings, which are getting worse and worse.
Wait, that's not on your list.
I think I forgot to put that on the list, Michael. I'm sorry, but so again, most people don't deal with multifamily in this group, so they're going to learn things from me. We have these apartments, and the mechanical engineers design the systems, and they put in 1.5, 2, and 2.5 ton systems in small apartments. Like, I've seen 2.5 tons in a 1,200 square foot, fairly well built apartment. And they bring in ventilation because it's required. Some of the tenants don't run the air conditioning, and we have a lot of humidity. You guys up in the tundra may not experience it quite as much as we do, but there's a lot of humidity down south. I get calls pretty frequently from these developers saying, "How come my buildings are moldy?" And it's like, I can diagnose it on the phone. It's like, because you have oversized systems, and you don't have any dehumidification, and they will not pay for dehumidifiers. They just simply won't do it because it's a first cost. So they dump all the remediation and the eventually installing dehumidifiers into management, into the people who are running the company. And sometimes it's the same company. Sometimes the developer is also the operator, and they will not move some money from operations to construction. I've got my records subpoenaed on projects because somebody's trying to find the deep pockets. It just, it's just making me crazy. I've tried for years to get somebody to pay attention to doing something better, putting a slightly better heating system in, air conditioning system in, putting in dehumidifiers, and they just won't do it. It's just, it meets the requirements, because like if you're, in terms of Energy Star and these other programs, if you put the smallest available system in, which happens to be 1.5 tons, even though you have basically 1/3 of a ton load or 1/4 of half a ton load, you've met the requirements of the program. So just that's my second rant. I got a few more to fill in the day.
I think that rant is valid for single family residential too. Mechanical systems, single family residential, no matter how many times you write dehumidifier on your plans, chances of you getting one in your project.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody asked about an ERV. We occasionally see ERVs in these projects, but they don't really do much. They don't help the humidity enough. I think what everybody's really come to the conclusion is you just need to dehumidify in humid climates. There's almost no way to, even my house has a little bit of problems. So I don't have a dehumidifier because I don't have any central ductwork. And sometimes I have to turn my air conditioning down a little bit just to keep the house comfortable in weather that I don't really need to air condition.
Do
we
they
still have the HVAC guys up here. When we have a new home that we're building in southern Minnesota, and it gets pretty humid up in Minnesota in the winter, or in the summer.
Yeah, right. It's humid
Um,
in the wintertime on the
and it's
west.
humid in the winter too. And every single time they want to they're still specking Aprilaire humidification.
Yeah,
Uh,
adding humidification is crazy.
and I'm like, that's the opposite of what we want, dude. And he's like, well, I can't, if you're trim, do you have any painted trim anywhere in the house? And that's really the driver for the HVAC is that the contractors get mad at them when the paint on the trim cracks because the HVAC guys also still don't like using ERVs. They like using HRVs up here, which over dehumidify naturally. And so they're like, instead of just doing it the right way, I'm 100% with you. And then there's this whole thing, Carl, with to meet Energy Star requirements. Mitsubishi was complaining about this a couple years ago at summer camp, that they're to meet the efficiency ratings for their units, they're having to short cycle the compressors, so they're not getting good dehumidification. And we've had a bunch of clients up here with mini splits who've been complaining that it's not cooling properly in the summer. And so we tell them to switch it over to dry mode, which ignores the temperature and just has
the
unit
temperature
run.
to 55 degrees.
Yeah.
What I've learned that a lot of the mini split systems have a really bad sensible heat ratio. They even though they're very high performance systems, they do not dehumidify that well. And so, some of the manufacturers kind of are rejiggering it so it works better. But part of the deal is they want a high SEER 2 rating now. So they manipulate it so they get a high SEER rating, even though the performance is not as good as you might want it to be.
Kevin from the audience asks, what do you tell your contractor when he says the mini split has a dehumidification setting?
Get a coat because it's going to get too freaking cold.
I was gonna say the same thing. You know anybody that's running in that? And they're all running around
I
going,
turned mine on
freezing.
once. It was like the house was 55 degrees when I came back.
Also, for us, maybe you have more humidity where you are, Carl, but for us, it still doesn't run long enough. And so then it's like subarctic, still humid, kind of swampy. And you get a lot of calls about those things.
Yeah, they don't do that well.
They don't do that well.
I don't understand the reluctance to absorb that first cost. It's so short-sighted. It's so frustrating. The right tool for the job is the dedicated dehumidifier. It handles all that perfectly. You don't have any of the other comfort issues. I guess unless you install it badly and it blows a little heat on you. But otherwise, I don't understand the downside. It's so easy to maintain and like easily replaceable, and it just makes so much sense. I'm constantly baffled that we try desperately to do all this, as you said, rejiggering, so that we don't have to just add that one right tool for the job. And I look for that same strategy in other places in the house, and I can't think of any place that I see it. Like maintaining plumbing traps is kind of a pain, but I don't air gap my kitchen sink because that doesn't work. Like it would be a messy, giant problem to have a big drain underneath my kitchen sink. I don't want to have that issue. I just go ahead and deal with the maintenance of the trap. Like I just don't understand the reluctance of, hey, let's stay away from this really effective solution that would add $2,000 up front if we use this really big one, and also would save us probably several $100s a year and all of our comfort complaints and all of our callbacks and eliminate all of these inefficiencies. Let's definitely not do that.
I mean, that's my concern. So the challenge is like for these multifamily projects, that's going to be $250,000. And they like these guys throw nickels around like manhole covers. They've got to. They're having a hard time funding everything. So I understand why they don't do it, but they are short-sighted because they're gonna spend it later.
First costs aren't the total cost. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're gonna spend it later on remediation, but they're just first cost is so much. They can't get away from it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, that's exhausting to me. I'm out.
Solid.
Michael, what you up to?
Oh man, what's next on our list here? Mineral fiber foundation insulation or slip sheets? Which one?
I don't know. Go for it.
How about the Brew Crew? What do you pick?
I vote for the Mineral Wool Foundation, which is I know Travis is a big fan of it, and I trust Travis's thought process. Just a little plug. If you haven't heard his podcast, the Building Consensus podcast, you get to hear Travis really shine. He's much smarter than he appears here.
I'll take that praise. I appreciate it, Michael. Tip of the hat to you, sir.
But my studying and logic and experience says that I avoid foam whenever I can, but I won't do a foundation without some foam to protect the dew point location. So that's a topic of interest to me.
Got it. All right. So my axe to grind is using the mineral wool insulation on foundations in general, because, and I think I posted a few pictures in Instagram every now and then of this, but like every job site I go to from decent builders, the wood fiber insulation is destroyed. Like in backfill, it gets hit. The lift's driving around. The crews walking around. It is just like this ratty, torn up mess between grade and framing. And I was on a project last month, and I went out, and it was like there was a whole section that had just been ripped clean off. And in another section where it was still decent, and they were starting to put up walls, and the builder was like, "Yeah, I was told I got to put this stuff on." He's like, "What? How do I connect?" He was doing a zip R. He's like, "What happens between the zip R and the mineral wool?" I was like, "That's a really good question. What does happen between those two spaces? Have you thought about that? Is there a product? What should you?" I mean, it was more that it's being pushed. So there's builders who are, I'm sure there's builders in the comments who are like, "I'm doing it, blah, blah, and Travis, you're doing it." But the speed with which you're moving and the care with which you're taking on your job site is not necessarily what we normally see on a job site, right? And so you've got conventional builders who are putting it on there, it's getting destroyed, and you come back 2 weeks later and they didn't fix it. It's just covered up. It just got buried. So to me, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing in the first place. It's just gonna, I mean, I think it's gonna lead to lots of problems. I think it's gonna end up being a little bottleneck. I think we're gonna have there's a big hole in it and it wasn't protected well. It's gonna be a great place for mice and little ground squirrels, and it's gonna pool up with water. And, if it's a poured concrete foundation, maybe that never actually matters. But if it's CMU, which still a lot of folks are using up in our neck of the woods, that is a problem. Travis desperately wants to raise his hand. So it's not necessarily a rant against just so we're clear. I'm not ranting against mineral wool, period, right? I think it's, melted rock strings are a fine, product to be used.
Nobody can hear you scream, Michael.
No one can hear me scream, Carl. But I do think that on foundations, 3 inches of XPS is still the better, more practical solution, and I'm not convinced that the mineral wool industry has come up with a solution that is prime time builder ready. So they should stop.
Well, I do have one response to that in general is that very few products are prime time builder ready. 90% of what I do is trying to enforce competence in the field. I mean, literally, it's like
fair. All right.
Yeah, it's like insulation. Can you follow the instructions? Weather barrier. Can you follow the instructions? Roofing. Can you follow the instructions? I mean, there are 13 people in my company who go out and inspect houses. All they're doing is saying, just do it right. It's like, just don't do a crappy job. That's all we're doing.
That's fair. And XPS is not terrible for the environment. Knock it off, people.
The new blowing agent is so much better.
It's been the blowing agent switched to like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's much better.
People need to stop with the whole GWP XPS is a problem thing.
Can we go ahead, Michael?
Just doesn't want to save energy. You just want to use all the energy up, right? You've said that before.
I have made the comment that the strategy should be to democratize energy, drill down to the core, tap that unlimited energy, like just have so much energy that there's no energy scarcity on the planet, because then there would be no famine, there'd be no sickness, there'd be no illiteracy. I mean, so much of where we look at impoverished places in the world, it stems from a lack of electricity to run desalination or clean water pumps or like, you know, just saying.
Yeah.
Use the rock up and then go find another rock.
You and Elon, huh?
No, I'm not serious. Chill out.
I was just in Norway, interesting, and they probably drill a lot of oil, but they get all their power, almost all their power from hydro. So everything's electric there. Like every other car on the streets of Tesla. We rode around in these like full size like tour buses that were electric. It was really cool. Electric boats through the fjords. It was really neat. So they let other people pollute their environments with the oil and use all their hydro.
Yeah, and Eric, XPS is the most water. It's not open cell; it's closed, and the XPS is the preferred material for below grade versus EPS,
Oh,
which
agreed.
you do not want to put below grade.
So what one of many of my arguments against foam, or one of my many complaints about the foam industry in general, is just broad spread obfuscation. One quirk that just the entire foam industry decided that when they report GWP, they only report the GWP of the blowing agent. They completely ignore the GWP of the resin. If you actually look at the EPDs and add things up, it's significantly worse than just the blowing agent. And the blowing, I think everybody thinks that because carbon dioxide has a GWP of 1, they think that's essentially zero. It's not. Like a GWP of 1 is still significant. It's just not zero. But once you add in all the resins and all the external costs, and then also even like I love Beam and Chris Magwood and Jacob, but one thing that they had to leave out of the Beam calculator, because it varies so much, is they don't include any transportation costs, end of life costs. It's a very narrow focus in order to make it fair across industries, or in an attempt to make it fair. But if you take a broader look, foam is still bad on many levels. It's an amazing material, and I use it when nothing else will work. But to me, it's a precious resource. It's not something to just be applied willy-nilly because now we can say the GWP is 1.
Yeah,
Mike, I agree with you that it's not to be used willy-nilly. I think we pay. I think I've said this before. We pay an inordinate amount of attention to foam. It used to be, oh, it's a petroleum product. Then it became about the blowing. But I think that it's kind of like vinyl siding. If you look at the EPD or an LCA on vinyl siding, it is bar none the preferred cladding that everyone should be using, right? But it's plastic. And I mean, Carl and I famously went to the vinyl booth, took some of the salt, had some tequila and used the salt with that to make, poke fun at. Like many things in our world, there are things that the application, it's perfect for that application. And so judicious use of those products where they perform really, really well, and they give you that long-term resilience or long-term performance, I think it's a good place to use. I mean, we have foam gaskets on windows. If we were to try to do life cycle assessment or an EPD on any of the millions of products that we put into structures, which have many components, many of which have additives and polymers and plastics, right? I mean, this is the nature of it. We tend to cherry pick, like, oh, we're going to focus on this one because it's easy, we can spot it, it's big, it's obvious. But I mean, how about nails? Like I just gave a great talk down with Maze Nails, really cool company. Do you guys remember Maze Nails?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Forever.
Yeah, the 177-year-old company, and their product is made domestically in the entire thing, right? With a couple of exceptions where they get, I think, some of their stainless from abroad. But like, if we were to look at how much steel is consumed and the coatings on that steel and the different high carbon, low carbon steels in a building, like how many hundreds of pounds or tons of steel go in through fasteners, we could probably make a pretty good case that just changing your fastener type to a domestically produced fastener would have more impact on your GWP than any, like the worst foam, right?
That may be a stretch, Michael, but it's like I get your
It's
concept.
heavy. I mean, but you think, right? Like steel is heavy. The
Yeah.
processing, the process. I mean, environmental. If you're using stuff made abroad where there's fewer environmental regulations, and that's why part of why it's less expensive,
Yeah.
and then bringing it back, all that transport cost for a heavy item versus something that, is made in Illinois and services like, you're within like 200-300 miles of the product. I mean, that
Right. But it's
I don't
shipped by boat, which is generally a pretty efficient way to ship. Right.
boat is more efficient, but then trucks from the coasts.
Right. But foam was something else that when I think about, when I first got into this 25 years ago, spray foam was like, man, this is magic. It's unbelievable what it does. It's perfect. It's I gotta use it in everything. And I have like sort of slowly moved to the conclusion that spray foam is really not a good product for most applications. And I think in most cases, I've come to the conclusion that in designing a new building, if you need to use spray foam, it's probably a deficient design. There are better ways to do. I know you still like to use it, Michael, but you're wrong.
I'd like to agree with you there, Carl. And I'd also like to remind everyone that if we have a problem taking care of the products that we put on our build or installing them properly, that's not a product failure. That is a operator failure. And as the operator, I take great pride in assembling things well, protecting them well, and managing the job properly. So I don't put any exterior foam below grade. I don't put any exterior mineral wool below grade, because even though it would be more efficient to put the jacket on the outside, I know that's a location that would be challenged. So all my details are inside where they're protected by the much more durable concrete. And moving from the inside to the outside with my thermal barrier in that one location is an acceptable transition. I would strongly recommend for anyone who would like their building to be durable. If we put things in a very, very challenging place, they tend to not do as well. And people are careless. That's always going to be a problem. If you challenge your system in that way, you will always get that crummy result because obviously.
Although, Travis, in the great state of Minnesota, the code requires the insulation is on the exterior of the foundation.
Well, your great state of Minnesota has an opportunity to fix their failures, just as I have so many opportunities to fix my own.
Here, I agree with
Give
that.
them my number. I'll explain how to do it. It's real easy. First, you take responsibility, and then you get to work. It's just not that hard.
I mean, I agree with you, Travis, 100%. I also was part of the team that did the research on basements. That was the North Star Build America team, and with Pat Hillman's group and cold climates. And it was a multi-year study on foundations, and that resulted in a code change that I don't think is a bad idea. I just think it's harder with some materials than others, which is the slip sheet, which brings you to the slip sheet.
Go to the slip sheet next, but tell me again how the XPS is more durable than the mineral wool, because it's not. The same blowout, the same kicked hole, the same, oh, this section broke off, the same, oh, nobody bothered to fix this. That's a person. That's not a product. And that's not me being a shill for mineral wool, because as I pointed out in the symposium on Tuesday, when Steve goes, well, we know Travis only uses one type. I don't use one type. When we have an old renovation with a drywall ceiling and a vented roof assembly, we blow the cheapest, either cellulose or fiberglass up there. And now that we can't get cellulose anymore, it's mostly fiberglass. But we've blown timber HP up there, and we've used all sorts of different products because, as you pointed out, Carl, a really bad design often requires a really bad product to make it viable in terms of the code. So I've got some spray foam on some of my projects. So I use all types of different insulations, but if I want it to work really well, I only use this one type because it lowers my risk substantially. So if you have a contractor that doesn't care that they knocked a hole in their exterior insulation on their foundation and they don't bother fixing it, I still don't see how that's a product failure. That's 100% on that contractor. And they're not going to go back and fix the mineral wool, just like they're not going to go back and fix the foam. That's not a product problem. But what about this slip sheet?
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, what was the slip sheet?
Not we're the ones supposed to be ranting here, man.
I only have rants. Come on, man. We've met.
So the slip sheet is supposed to go between your foundation insulation and the earth. Okay. And Dr. Louise Goldberg, who put that in the code for us, theorized that the earth could bond to the exterior foundation insulation, and then when we have frost heave, would basically tear it away from the house. And so a sheet of plastic was the solution, or a slip sheet, a not defined object called slip sheet.
So that's just there to keep the earth from adhering to the foundation.
Bond break.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That
Yep.
makes sense. I mean,
Oh, in theory, this is right. And when I see foundations, especially the mineral fiber ones, where the earth has been pushed up into it, and I think, man, there's more chance of the earth biting in and grabbing hold of it.
absolutely.
But right there, I'm like, man, if you're gonna do that, you should definitely do a slip sheet. But I also hate slip sheets because they never survive backfill. They end up just getting torn off. And there is not a good way to repair them. So they end up just being like little plastic bags to hold water up against your insulation. So I have a deep hatred for the slip sheet. Again,
Hard to believe a code is not, can't be built properly. It's like somebody wrote something in that can't be effectively produced. It's like, why not?
I mean,
all the
time. Cody asks, could a diplomat replace the slip sheet?
You could put a dimple mat, like a Casella Dorkin type product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In theory, you could probably do that. The code they're not clear on what they want. So like some folks are putting like a hydrostatic pressure release mat over the insulation and then putting 6 mil or 8 mil reinforced poly over that. The issue, like Carl and Travis both brought up with cost, is something like dimple mat is really expensive.
Yeah.
And adding any cost to, people love it, spending more money on their foundations that they don't see ever.
Right.
That's where it's really easy to convince the client to spend a little extra.
Well, okay, people don't want to spend money on anything they can't see. It's like, why, that's, they don't want to spend money on high performance material. They don't want to spend money on good HVAC. They don't want to spend money on good air sealing because they want granite countertops. And
they want to sue you as soon as it doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I stepped out of the. I don't get too many lawsuits. I've stepped out of the lawsuit department, thankfully.
That's good. That's good.
So, Carl, you have Passive House has somehow not come up yet today.
Yeah. This is very funny. So I'm a Passive House reader. I've been a Passive House reader for at least 15 years. And I've had two projects that tried to go Passive House. One of them just never went anywhere. The other one got almost to the end and they just missed a couple of things. And they all involve some of the same personnel. And we're talking about the fact that we are currently working on the first Passive House in Georgia. That it looks like it's actually going to get certified.
The first?
Yes, the third, because the first two didn't make it. Chris Laumer Giddens is posting the shit out of this on Instagram. So but what they're doing is it's the windows. The house is basically framed in. They just they use a fluid applied on the outside, and I don't think they've even ordered the windows yet. And they're coming from Europe, so they're apparently going to side the building, put the exterior insulation on inside the building before the windows show up, which kind of worries me. But
well, he's team any. Chris always likes to put his windows on the inside, so he can finish the outside. It doesn't matter. It's not a problem.
Yeah, it's but there are contractors on the job that have to do things right. Although Chris literally is there every day. I mean, he's watching the whole time. So it's it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm not worried that it's not going to work out. But it's like I said, just one Passive House every 15 years. It's
third time's the charm.
I think this will be the first one in Georgia. And I must say it's a little overkill for our climate. But we'll see what happens. It's pretty cool. It's a good looking house, a little craftsman. And coincidentally, it's right down the street from where my daughter just bought a new house. So I get to go by a lot.
Nice.
Michael,
have you done any passive houses? What do you think of the passive house approach?
Didn't we have a game show?
You're poking a bear here, Michael.
Well, I have the memory of whatever has the short memories.
Whatever
Refresh our
has a
memory.
short memory, that's what I am. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, my memory is increasingly poor. So, you know, Passive House is Trin has done amazing things with that program to make it a good program. It was an awful program when Wolfgang created it and it came to the US, and it was incredibly short-sighted and myopic in focus, and I think I spent a lot of time railing against it because it was the antithesis of what green building wants to be, which is a holistic approach and a balanced approach to building a better building. What, you know, the Living Building Challenge, which Carl, you've certified probably none.
I tested one. I didn't certify.
Tested one.
Tested one. Yeah.
But you know, our friend Michael Clement up in
He's doing
Ann
it.
Arbor,
Yeah.
did a Living Building Challenge house, which is, I'd say is right now, and still has been for a long time. It's at the bleeding edge of what we can do when we talk about the relationship between our structures and our environment and having something that has a net positive impact. And I think that Passive House has gone to great lengths to consider how Americans live in their homes, real world, like not just in a lab house, and to think about materials, to think about composition of materials. So I think it's become a decent program.
Yeah, I think they're actually doing a very good job in the Northeast, where they're incentivizing it heavily for actually a lot of affordable housing. And as you know, they've gotten to the point where the cost, you know, in certain multifamily, the cost premium is not significant, and they're getting really good long-term durability and long-term utility costs. Down here, it's a challenge. I mean, there are no incentives for multifamily to do it down here, or for anything to do it down here, and it's just, our climate is so temperate that we're just not using that much energy. So it's hard to justify the extra cost down here.
So we also have some nice things to say.
No, say it ain't so.
I mean, I feel like whenever we did whenever we went to the shows and we looked at materials, we looked for like a couple dogs just because they were always there, like the unibrow, the doorbrow.
The doorbrow.
By the way, the photo. Where did your marketing people find a photo of Carl and I from like easily 20 years ago?
Yeah, 20 years ago. Who knows? I think
No idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, the doorbrow, that was a winner. But there's always a couple really cool things out there. And I think, Carl, you said that the mycelium network
I just read an article in Metropolis magazine just the other day. I didn't even subscribe, it just showed up. There are people building like structural blocks out of mycelium, which looks pretty cool. Yeah.
We did a really fun episode with Alex Wilson where you
were eating the mushrooms. Yeah, you were eating the mushroom insulation. Yeah.
Eating mushroom insulation, and they were using it for packing material.
Yeah.
But the concept actually was really cool. You know, you grow the mushrooms in the stud cavities. They eat all the non-friendly fungus. They had a good RE value, and if they ever got damaged, they just grew back into the void.
What's actually interesting, this article, they said Tarkett is apparently working with these people. They're using the mycelium to break down their materials into like raw materials that are basically stable and organic. It's very, whether it's true or not, I have no idea. It's an article in a magazine, but I thought it was really interesting.
Well, you guys are welcome to keep on ranting, but all this talk about mushrooms, I think I'm going to go eat some. I'll see you all later. I got to take my son to baseball, but continue the rant. Keep fighting the good fight. Au revoir.
Hey, man.
Adios.
Yeah, I vote you each get one more really egregious rant. What is the worst one, right? Make it good. Make it good.
I think I've run through my list, unfortunately.
What? I was going to say something nice. I had yeah.
But who are these people that we invited on to do a show? He's gonna end with something nice? What?
Yeah.
What's the most encouraging? I mean, there's plenty of depressing news. What's the most encouraging thing that's propping you up right now?
My grandchildren.
Yeah, why?
Well, between my wife and I, her daughter just had a baby 2 weeks ago. So we have 4 grandchildren between us. And it's, it's nice, I got somebody to take care of me when I get old or older.
Right.
That's sweet. A buddy of mine the other day said, because it's easy to go down like the what did Stephen Miller say today? Oh shit, right? Never mind what the pumpkin spice Palpatine spewed out of his meat hole. So someone made the comment that it is up to the rest of us to keep the party, the celebration alive, and not get sucked into this thing. And so to that point, I thought, every time we have the opportunity to compliment somebody and tell them that they're doing a great job, to put a little positivity in the world, that's something that we can do. Whenever we have an opportunity to help lift somebody up, to make the world a little more equitable, to include people in the conversation, that's how I think that's how we keep it. Like, people can there can be that rhetoric and there can be that nonsense, but if we choose to act in a way and build in a way that is building our communities up and building the people in them up, that's actually like a way to feel good about how we are participating in our communities. So there's that.
All right. Well, I don't see a.
I'm like, man, what do you say after that? I think that
Yeah.
was the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're
And
done.
good night.
Yeah.
This is great. Thank you both. Always, hopefully for as long as we do BS Beer and you guys are willing to come rant in October, we will get
Sure.
to see you.
I was thinking this is like my 5th or 6th time. I feel like Warren Zevon on David Letterman,
Yeah.
When do we get the blue jackets? When do we get the
I think next year we get to put you on the hot seat.
Yeah,
Go for it. We're there. We'll totally do it.
Carl, did you get the comment early on from the chat box that you look like David Letterman now?
I did see that. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Well, less up here, more down here to balance it out.
Awesome.
Right, thanks everyone. This was a fun night.
This was a great show. Thank you. Thanks
All right.
everyone for showing up. Thank you both.
Take care. Bye.
Right.
See ya.
Bye.